Hello, my name's Dan. I have a couple of interests. One of them is buildings. I'm a builder, and I like houses and like to look at them. And I have one of my own that I like a lot, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Another interest I have is a little philosophical. I've had some training in philosophy, and I still have that interest. And I put the two together with a reflection on how people live. It's called Houses and Selves. The self structures how we live, how we compose ourselves in the world. A house, being a reflection of the owner, is like a self. A house reflects a way of being in the world, a style, if you will. The style of a house makes a statement. It is something like this. This building is my primary way of engaging nature and culture. For example, I engage nature by the way my house meets my biological needs for shelter, and I engage culture by the ways the design and the spaces created by the design offer comfort and awaken beauty. Ideas are to a self like parts are to a house and its surroundings. Ideas are not the materials, but the kitchen, the dining room, the garden, and so on. Ideas are the ways the house is organized into rooms with different functions. The ideas found in one's head, not all of them, but some of them, make up the self that runs a person's life. The ideas in the head are like the rooms in the house. In the kitchen, for example, you expect to find a stove to make a meal. In a head, you expect to find a notion of reciprocity for engaging others. A head without that notion would belong to one selfish self, like going into the kitchen of a house and not finding a stove because its owner didn't think he needed one. A theory is an overarching principle that structures a particular set of ideas. Without the theory organizing the ideas, the ideas themselves, would just be random. For example, a Victorian house uses a theory for interior house design, requiring many little rooms with high ceilings, tall windows, elaborate ornamentation, and so forth. A craftsman house uses an open theory for room arrangement, stressing structural elements, and a style of ornamentation celebrating natural materials and joinery. The theory of the house is the design itself, and the way the design elements are related to each other. That's what Frank Lloyd Wright was good at, coming up with theories and even creating his own design elements. Because he recognized the essential fluidity of ideas and the necessity of certain fundamental ones, he could invent new designs, totally new. Some of these fundamental ideas are closure towards the street to answer the need for privacy, the Zimmerman house is an example, letting in natural light as motion, the Wingspread house, using natural materials from the site or region, the Minotaur house, geometrical order in design elements derived from nature, enabling complete interior detailing, including furniture, light fixtures, and so forth, to match the design theory. The Roby house is a good example of that. The interior of a Frank Lloyd Wright house is not empty space, but an elaborate style of living created by the architect to fit the particular customer. A home should not be seen as composed of a series of still and frozen moments like a Pizarro painting, but an action shot of a living self as it moves through real space during a lived life. This is what happens when I walk about my house and property, enjoying its unique features, like the treehouse in the backyard, stuck between two big old trees. One a gigantic plum that annually peppers the conical treehouse roof with its purple balms, and the other an elm tree that seems to be enjoying its old age immensely as it drops new, soft, willowy limbs, languishing and flourishing in its sunny and protected spot. What I, Daniel Duncan, bring to a building or a writing project is my particular self-knowledge derived from studying philosophy, combined with a certain life experience which I can occasionally articulate, what a word to mess up on, clearly, and sometimes turn into good designs. This resembles Frank Lloyd Wright, who is not shy about articulating his theories. But FLW had this advantage. He had a solid late 19th century rural childhood with middle-class parents with artistic aspirations. FLW's mature ideas were turned into beautiful forms that filled all his buildings. My childhood occurred in a family of divorced working-class parents in a city with a shallow self-definition, which left me with a feeling of absence, not substance. The only authentic trait I share with FLW that I can see is a willingness and insistence even to see things my own way. But FLW had a lot more in his tank than I ever did as a builder. For one thing, I was driven to rediscover the past, while he worked hard to transcend the past, because he had already lived it fully, and even as a youth, he wanted to move on to original work. So what's the point about a self and a house? Ideas and rooms, theories and styles. Just this. We should not regard the self as a fixed entity any more than regard a house as a fixed entity. Although both are stable entities, a self is, or can be, a work in progress too, just like a house is a work in progress. They're both subject to remodeling. Nevertheless, this is not a totally fluid realm. We are dealing with a certain set of fundamental ideas and theories. Just as some elements are essential and some arrangements are beautiful, and others are unnecessary and ugly, we should seek the one type and avoid the other type. Applied to the self specifically, theories organize ideas coherently so that the behavior is rational, that is, has a point, or at least looks like it to an observer. The structure of theories in the mind is the structure of that self. Did the individual person build a good self, a functional one, or did the one that landed there, as a result of unconscious drives and reactions, end up being a dysfunctional one? Does that self function to meet actual needs of the person? Does it have flaws that need immediate attention? If so, the flaws can be attended to, and the self can be changed, rebuilt as it were, to serve the user and provide a life with more order and beauty and better service. Thank you.